Let's look at some naming of aromatic compounds. Most names we'll be talking about will be based on this one, which is benzene. So if you have just one substituent, like a bromine for example, you could name this bromobenzene. You would never call it 1-bromobenzene because this bromine could go anywhere on the ring and it would still be bromobenzene. So there's no need to put a number out the front. Let's look at some other examples when we have, say, two substituents on the ring. And this would be an instance, for example, you've got two chlorines next to each other. This would be 1,2-dichlorobenzene, or if you'd like, O-dichlorobenzene, where the O stands for ortho. Ortho means next to each other, so on adjacent carbon atoms. This one could be 1,3-dichlorobenzene, or if you'd like, M-dichlorobenzene, or meta-dichlorobenzene. That means there's one carbon in between. Then you've got 1,4-dichlorobenzene, or para or p-dichlorobenzene, which results from the chlorines being across from each other, para meaning across. This one, it doesn't have to be two of the same substituent. This one could be called 4-bromochlorobenzene or p-bromochlorobenzene. I'd like to bring up something with the alphabetization. This is an often neglected point. Now we've already named this as p-bromochlorobenzene. A legal name, nothing wrong with that. And what we're assuming there is that the base chain or the base compound here is chlorobenzene, and then we're assuming the chlorine is in the one position. That's what makes it a chlorobenzene, and then everything else is just attached to that, and this would be p-bromochlorobenzene. So that's a legal name. But I will draw this compound again. I'll show you another legal name. Put the bromine here and the chlorine here again. And this could also be called p-chlorobromobenzene. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying that this doesn't make sense because it's not alphabetical. Well, as it turns out, it is. Because we're not basing this name off benzene, it's based on bromobenzene. So bromine is in the one position and chlorine is on the bromobenzene ring. So therefore it's p-chlorobromobenzene, and this that I'm putting in a square here is actually the base chain, just like over here where chlorobenzene was the base chain. So everything in front of the base chain is what gets alphabetized. So this is just bromo and now this is just chloro. So both of these are legal names. Alright, let me show you another for instance. Let's look at something like this. If I want the lowest numbering, I'm going to have either BR or I as being in the one position. And that would be my first aim, would be to get the lowest possible numbering going on here. Now what I might do is say, okay, I'll just make this a bromobenzene. So that means that if I'm going to make this a bromobenzene, the base chain will be this, the bromobenzene. There's nothing to stop me making it an iodobenzene as well, but I'm going to go ahead and make it a bromobenzene just for fun. Now if this is a bromobenzene, then what that means is there's a chlorine group in the 2 position and an iodo group in the 3 position. Now since we have to do this via alphabetization, it's going to look like this. It'll be 2-chloro, 3-iodo, and then it would be bromobenzene. Run out of room there. Alright, so that's all one word right there, so that's bromobenzene. Okay, so 2-chloro, 3-iodo, bromobenzene. So the base chain here is the bromobenzene part, which means that it's not subject to alphabetization. Anything that's in the one position is not subject to alphabetization, so it would be 2-chloro, 3-iodo, and that would be a valid name for that particular compound. Alright, so continuing on, let's say we've got two of the same substituent on the ring. Now you can't name this in accordance with ortho, meta, or para. Only things with two substituents can be named ortho, meta, or para. Once you get three on here, if you've got two of the same, then the one position will be taken by the one that is single. And this would be 2,4-dichloro-bromobenzene. So the bromine, bromobenzene, would be the base chain. And this is another example of how alphabetization doesn't matter if we're talking about whatever's in front of the base chain. The base chain is the bromobenzene because all the numbering is based on that. And it's 2,4-dichloro-bromobenzene. There's certain ones that we talk about: acetophenone, anisole, aniline, benzaldehyde, benzoic acid, toluene, and phenol. And you're just going to have to know their structures because they are the basis, or they form the basis for many different names. For example, we've got anisole, acetophenone, benzoic acid, aniline, benzaldehyde, toluene, and phenol. Those are the ones we need to know. So let's say we have a phenol, and an example would be this compound here, where you've got the OH here, and this could be called 2,4-dinitrophenol. So the phenol actually becomes the base chain, and this is 2,4-dinitro. This here, methylbenzene, is called toluene, so this would be called O-cyclopropyl toluene. So the base chain becomes toluene. So going back and looking at those again, the ones you would need to know would be benzene, I think cumene as well, but acetophenone, benzoic acid, aniline, benzaldehyde, toluene, and phenol. Those are all important base chains on their own. They are so common as aromatic compounds that things that are made from them will be named after them as well. If you've got a ketone other than acetophenone, remember acetophenone is this one here with the methyl and the phenyl group, then that would be named based on the ketone, and this would be ethyl phenyl ketone. This is an ethyl group here, CH2CH3, and a benzene ring directly connected to the C double bond O is called a phenyl group. So that's ethyl, phenyl, and space, then ketone. This one is called benzyl T-butyl ketone. This here is your T-butyl group, and this here is a benzyl group. Now the difference between a phenyl group and a benzyl group is that a benzyl group has an aromatic ring and then a CH2, and then that's what's connected to the C double bond O. So this here, phenyl CH2, is called benzyl, and that's benzyl T-butyl ketone.